Welcome back to the heart of the Bear Factory. This is Pawsitive Impact, the show that talks about making teddy bears with a purpose. My name is Rob Johnson. Keia, Jimmy, welcome back. So Keia, episode number 2 for you. Jerry's still out of office.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes. So today I want to guide the conversation around the experience that the Bear Factory offers, the people that you work with, the partners that you source product to, and how important that experience is in driving a successful business. And, Jimmy, when we were sitting in the pre-show talking about just kind of the way the space is constructed, you have it almost as a model to demonstrate to people what it could look like and the difference between prioritizing a space that people can do things in versus just, making it very second nature.
Yeah, I think with the market that we work with, experiential retail is still emerging in a lot of new industries, and we're very much positioned to have a very optimized space or just maximizing revenue per square foot. Like traditional retail has drastically changed over the last 10 to 15 years, and we've obviously seen that with the reduction in large malls and in-person shopping. So what do you do to combat that? And our philosophy has been focused on integrated spaces. So essentially what we're sitting in right now would be classified as our tier 2 integrated retail space, where you really don't need that much room. This is probably 15 by 10 kind of spot, a little cut in, and that's more than enough space to be able to create a really unique, genuine experience for parents to be able to bring their kids and learn something about the sustainability of the products and what we're doing, but then also be able to pick out their buddy, accessorize it, and have the whole stuff-a-plush experience. And what's really I like to drive home with customers is we get a lot of customers who think they can just buy a machine and pop it in a corner and throw out just some old fixtures, and it's no, you need to create an inviting atmosphere that people see, and when they see that machine, that these machines are meant to draw people towards them, but our MSRP for the most part is $29.99 for a 16-inch plush, and it's how are you going to compel your consumer to spend that money? I could see one kid being probably a lot easier sell, but families that have 2, 3, 4 kids, $29.99 adds up pretty quickly. So how do you compel your customer to want to engage with your stuff-a-plush program? And I think atmosphere and creating that experience is everything with that. So us as a young family, we're starting to have opportunities to take Araya to places and actually see firsthand what it's like on a retail side, to have these experiences where we have a local apple orchard where they have a Santa shed, and I'm doing my best to be present with Araya and Keia and have fun, and then I see a corner and I'm a stuffing machine would look pretty good in that corner over there. So yeah, it is. We're having a different perspective now as consumers being a family.
It kind of ties back into when my parents first started this, and the experience that I had as a child was going up north. I think it was in Traverse City, and we had a little mom and pop shop that we went to, and they had a full-on, it wasn't like a Build-A-Bear, but it was something similar to that.
It was Mackinac, Build Your Bear.
But it was the setup, and it was just really cool, and they had cranks that you would turn and just things that made it very interactive for the kids. And so, this is kind of a full circle moment for us where we're the wholesale side, but now we get to bring in a little bit more fun, a little bit more look-wise to it. So, very cool.
And I've talked to you, Jimmy, about this from the beginning. You guys have always done such a great job of having supportive collateral for the people that you serve and making it as easy for them to do business with their customers as possible. And that's been such a powerful thing that you all have done. And to your point, if you have 3 kids and you're going to spend $90 on that experience, make it a good one. That way they want to come back or do it again or tell people about it, make some referrals, because being able to pick something out, going to the stuffing machine, having that full moment is much better than just, oh yeah, I'll turn this light on in this broom closet and, we'll stuff it real quick. And it's like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah, well, yeah, and grabbing, like, stuffed plush and unstuffed plush are two very different segments in their own rights and experiences. Like, you have some parents who are buzzing through and they got places to be and they're with their kids and they just pull plush off the shelf and and they're going. So they, we do compete with stuffed plush, but then we don't, because there's a huge difference between 5 minutes and 15, 20 minutes where, you go into one of our setups and experiences and you get to shop and look at, your plushie, and then you get to stuff it, and then you get to, put clothing on it and make a wish. And
for the kids, I think it feels like it's theirs, like they made it. So it's not like, oh, I could just pick it off a shelf and it's the one I liked. It's like, this one's mine. I did this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's some, they help bring it to life.
Yeah, that's a lot more meaningful than like a stuffy that might have been passed around, 15 times and put back on the shelf. And, this is one, it's, in a way, it's one of one, for that kid.
In my personal experience, what I've seen is there's a big difference for Araya from us taking her somewhere and she picks out the plushie and taking it home, and how long that stays dear to her, versus I've gone on business trips and brought something home for her, and when I do that, it stays relevant for like maybe a week, but then it ends up just falling to the wayside because she wasn't the one who picked it out and made the choice, type thing. And she's getting to the age now where you were over, what, in St. Louis with your experience?
Yeah. But she did. She picked out a plush from the zoo. We were at the St. Louis Zoo, and she had a small meltdown that turned into a very big meltdown because she couldn't choose between which animal she wanted. She either wanted a lion or a cheetah, and it was like, I can't have both, but I don't want both, but which one do I want? And it was just a very interesting perspective to see as a mom, but be as a business owner, because I was like, oh, I get to see this firsthand. I get to see the cogs and the wheels of the brain of the kids. Like, what are they doing when they see a plush? Or they have to go through that process of like, which one do I want? How do I figure this out? And it's actually really cool because you can see it kind of ingraining in their brain. And she still talks about how she couldn't bring home one baby and she only got to bring one home with her.
Yeah, I mean, it seems simple for us as adults, like the concept, but like these are very serious decisions that are being made for kids.
Absolutely. and I imagine, like my kids, they might still bring it up once in a while. It's like, man, remember that cheetah that didn't get?
Yeah. Araya, months later, she's like, yeah, I bring baby home. I left one baby there. And we're just like, oh, you did leave one there. Yeah. Like that was a tough decision. So it's a lot.
But she also remembers where she got it. So that's very cool for us because we're actually doing a partnership with the Memphis Zoo, and we're like excited to take her there and have her go and do her own true stuff-a-plush that isn't in our warehouse. Like, she actually gets to go and experience it firsthand. So that'll be a really cool experience for us because now we get to see it as both a business owner and a parent.
Yeah.
I love that. What would you say, if let's say a business owner, they're just kind of, steady, right? What advice do you give to business owners to make the space, more inviting or more engaging and, to drive more traffic?
You gotta be invested and passionate about the program. It's anybody who is excited about the program and having it as part of their retail offering, or as part of an activity that they're doing on site for like a resort or an attraction. They have to be excited about it because that's what people get jazzed about, because there is showmanship that takes place with this. So, you need to be excited about it. You also, I'm a big proponent of the education component. Like, you can see some of the tubes up there that we have, just like explaining how we take type 1 plastics and make our polyfiber filling, the process by which that happens, and then also our Plush for the Planet fabrics. Taking a moment to show kids, and we have these cool setups where kids can put their hands in and feel the different types of resin. And it's a really great learning moment, just showing how you can take what is perceived as trash and actually turn it into something and give it a second life from a product life cycle standpoint. So parents appreciate that. Like, it's taking up time, it's educating their kids something, and that's going to stick with them as part of their memory. So those are like the two main things. And the third one is it's got to be a fun space. Like, it's got to be inviting. It needs to be exciting in its own way, and even if it's like you have wood floors in your retail store, we have like little paw prints that you can put on the ground that walk kids through the process. Like, start here and it like walks them through. Or let's say you have concrete floors. It's like, take the time to put some like affordable wood flooring and then put your transition so it's to code, but like designate space, designate the environment. I'm a huge fan of having drop-down ceiling panels. Like, we'll do abstract kind of cloudscapes made out of the recycled polyester wool material that we use. It's great for acoustics, but it creates that environment where you feel like you're walking into something, and that's what makes going to amusement parks and attractions, Disney World, Universal, that's just what makes those types of experiences so fun, is because you're just stepping into a new world. And I think it's a bit of a stretch to say that we're stepping into a new world, but you're definitely stepping into a new environment with our setups.
I think you're giving kids an awareness to be present in the moment of like what this experience is, and then you also are gifting the parents that exact same moment of presenceness while watching their child do something like this. So
Yeah, it's definitely something unique, and if it's done well, it's something that's going to be extremely memorable. I remember the first time my kids came here when we were filming, Jerry walked them through like kind of like the setup and the stuffing and all of that, and then when I got home, my daughter was telling my wife, it's made with, plastic bottles, just kind of giving the whole pitch, and my son's like, it is? And I was like, bro, you were there. So then we watched the video because the videos that you guys have on the website are so great with explaining that process. So we just watched it back again, and it was just so cool, like how much they took away from all that. And if it's done right, like, kids are gonna get the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're shooting this in April. It's Earth Month. We have Earth Day coming up. We just launched our second environmental social governance report, our second ESG report. We did full-blown carbon tracking this past year, like all the super difficult, just not fun. I would classify it as not fun sustainable business practice stuff. Like, this is the fun stuff, like having product, getting cool videos in front of kids, doing experiential hands-on. Like, that's the stuff that really jazzes me. But you still got to put in the work. Like, you still got to actually go and do the day-to-day of like weighing trash and checking out like what is your actual trash, like landfill mitigation, just with like day-to-day stuff that we do. So the ESG, I think, is an amazing resource that can contribute to the experience, because it gives you like really high level information that can be inserted as part of the storytelling that you have. So I guess my last and fourth suggestion for someone who has a stuff-a-plush experience is like having a team leader, or having one person that's running the program that is creating that storytelling and is having that consistency in messaging is really important, because we do get seasonal customers who have like high school kids that they're just like running through. It's difficult enough just to get a high school kid to like learn how to interact with a child on a stuffing machine, let alone be able to like talk through like, hey, did you know that your buddy that you just stuffed is the equivalent of 15 plastic water bottles mitigated from landfills? Why don't you come over here and take a look at this? This is actually how we take type 1 plastics and make fabrics and make that stuffing. You need to have somebody who is excited about it and a point person for your setup and for your experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't just want to phone it in because people will see it.
Yeah, and we have materials, training materials, like all on our website in our training hub. And like I said, the ESG is pretty much like a deck of just very high level information as what we're doing as a company and as a supplier to our customers that can provide some really impactful content to that end consumer.
Yeah, I love that. And the listeners are gonna have to forgive me because on the last episode we did not highlight, a plushie of the show, so that was on me. So I will say though, I want to throw this over to you.
Do you want to talk about this? You sure? I picked this one, which is completely on point, which is kind of what we're talking about, like us as being a new family, getting to see firsthand, going on site and now actually living the family retail experience. So we had a lot of requests for woodland creatures, so we went with a hedgehog, and ironically, through the process of design of this, Araya became super attached to hedgehogs.
Without even seeing this one.
Without even seeing this one, and she calls them Momos. And why she call them Momos? Oh, well, she calls them Momos, and so when we introduced this plushie, we ended up naming him Momo. So this is Momo the Hedgehog, and this will forever be the first plushie that Araya has ever named.
I love it. So that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Pawsitive Impact. If you want to learn more about the Bear Factory, you can check out the show notes. Apart from that, we'll see you next time with a new episode. Take care.